Lovely. Okay, well, regardless of what day it is, because it's a Wednesday, but we're used to tradition. Happy Sunday, everyone.
Happy Sunday.
Hello, colleagues, everyone in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us for another week. And wherever you are, whatever you are doing, whether you're listening to this while you're at work, I don't know where I was going with that. I'm very tired. It's our second lockdown and we're halfway through. But welcome.
We're not halfway through.
We will be when this comes out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That was Ed classically trying production schedule, Kathleen.
Yeah. Welcome to the office and to another episode of Dungeon Manager. Thank you so much for joining us. Do sound off if you are in the Twitch chat, and indeed if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to comment as well. We'd love to get to know you. And follow us on Twitter, which was a great segue into our social media. You can follow us on Twitter, you can follow us on Facebook, you can follow us on Instagram. You can also, if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to subscribe. It would be much appreciated. Give this video a like, give it a comment. It helps boost signal, stuff like that. But also, if you can click the bell icon, you will be notified whenever we have a new video out, which would be very, very nice for you and for us, hopefully. But you can also, if you're listening to this, follow us on iTunes. You can follow us on Spotify. You can follow us on Podbean. Heck, if you are listening to this, you probably know that already. But thank you so much for tuning in. You can also check out our Patreon, where you can support the work that everyone does on this campaign, especially Billy. Billy does so much, and so it doesn't get enough love. Thank you so much, Billy, for putting all these episodes together. But as ever, before we begin, a couple of thanks are in order, as ever, to our assistant dungeon managers on Patreon, the wonderful Rory O'Sullivan and the incredibly generous Graham Muir. You can check out everything that they are donating towards at our Patreon, where we have a number of different tiers, which give you access to various goodies, which are coming out every other week or so, and we have some nice ones coming up as well. So do feel free to check that out. And for our 6th episode in a row, we are affiliated with Zavi and their brand new, I mean not so new now, but still very, very fresh and very, very nice collection of D&D merchandise and clothing. You can get 10% off their site with the code
Dungeon 10.
And you can get 20% off all of their clothes with
Dungeon 20.
And if you use those codes, that also helps us out a lot as well. I'm very tired. Did I mention that already? And you can find t-shirts, you can find mugs, you can find tote bags, you can find lots and lots of wonderful different things, and they're all thoroughly worth checking out. And as ever, thank you to Wizards of the Coast for helping support this episode and for hosting us as well, for everyone who's watching us through the Twitch D&D. Hello and welcome to the office. And I think that is everything. And once again, I think I've remembered everything. So once more, follow us as we step out of the office, away from work, and once more into the world of Dungeon Manager. Previously on Dungeon Manager, infiltrating the village of Waldhaven under the cover of fog cloud, Terra used her tremor sense to make her way through the thick mist, dispatching some of the dragonborn soldiers that stood in her way, standing guard at the Fallen Leaf Tavern. And meanwhile, up on the hill, the others followed suit, though not before Zini, engulfed by twigs and branches, transformed, wild-shaping into a dire wolf. Charging into the fog and taking out some more of the guards, assisted by Quill from above. It wasn't long until battle was joined in the center of the village, and the fog cloud began to lift. Adding to the chaos, Scarlet, you enlarged your newly lupine companions, scattering the tents in every direction, as meanwhile inside the tavern, taking care of another of the soldiers, Terra freed some of the villagers and the rangers, led by an elf calling herself Hestia, who prepared themselves to join in the fight. But as the battle raged outside, with Scarlet raining down magic missiles, Dalafar and Oriana swinging their heavy weapons in a whirlwind of blood, and Zini continuing to trample the various soldiers and tents, Terra, you joined in the fray. And just as Oriana struck a final blow against the Dragonborn commander's armor, staggering back against his tent and collapsing to the ground, the commander was faced with Dalafar's axe against his throat. And with that, the soldiers stood down, leaving you all in the now much devastated, but now strangely quiet village of Waldhaven. So as the soldiers drop their weapons all around you, and the villagers burst out of the Fallen Leaf Tavern, looking around, what is everyone doing?
What are the little boys next to me doing?
They are still clutching their eyes, still blinded from the sunbeam that Quill cast, and also Dalafar's burst of EVIS. But they are all tentatively dropping their weapons as well, as the one that can still see nudges them to follow suit. Meanwhile, the one that Dalafar shoved into the fire sort of makes his way out and brushes off bits of ash and burnt wood, sort of shivering from the heat as he just looks around, the shock having lifted the blindness, the magically induced blindness from him, and he looks around and drops his weapon as well as the bonfire continues to roar in the center of the camp.
I'm going to make eye contact. Sorry. I'm going to make eye contact with the ones near me and just roll my eyes in a like, guess we're not fighting anymore kind of way.
They flinch a little bit as you even so much as glance in their direction.
I think Dalfa just says, best to tie them up, I think.
As you do this, Hestia walks forward, and you can see that a number of the other villagers and rangers behind her are making their way to the other two cages, not carts, cages on either side of the camp, and start hitting away at the locks with their various tools.
Can I go over and just unlock them?
Yeah, absolutely.
Classic, like, just let me.
If you can make a dexterity check.
I mean, I'm also a fan of hitting things until they break. But this is quicker, hopefully. Oh, natural 20.
You just walk over and sliding in, and walk off almost without being seen as they continue hit it and then just see the lock fall out of place, and they open up the cages and numerous other people start piling out, and you can see hugs and you can see kisses and you can see embraces and crying as all of these individuals, imprisoned for what must have been a couple of days now, are all overjoyed at seeing one another well again. And as Dalafar, you give this order, a tall, pale elf walks over to you, and she looks down and says, "This is not all of them. I imagine there are probably a few others hanging out in the woods."
Well then, can you manage with him and tie the rest up? We'll take a bit of a stroll. And I look at Oriana. That's it. I'm not saying anything. I just nod towards Oriana as I say we'll take a stroll.
We'll go for a stroll.
Okay. I don't say anything, but yeah. Okay.
But before I go, I turn to the one-eyed dragonborn and the big boy and just go, "Your arm is very curious. Do you feel anything through it?"
No.
Good. And I then raise my axe and slice it across the elbow to take the arm.
So, if you could just make a general strength check for me, please.
Oh, a strength, you say, but it is my weakest stat. That is a 21.
Bringing your axe up, you just cleave it straight through this metal arm that disjoints at the shoulder. And you can, not the shoulder, the elbow rather, and you can see that the inside is hollow. And as you reach down to pick up this clawed hand that currently sits on the mud below, you look and you see through the darkness of the hollow that leads up to the shoulder that it is connected via a series of straps that is wrapped over the top of his armor. And within the darkness, you can see that there is merely a withered shoulder, pale white, with spots of pink within.
When we come back, you and I are going to have a chat.
He looks very weak.
I kick his weapon away from him.
Okay.
And I pick up the now severed arm and gesture for Oriana to follow.
With the arm, or?
With the arm. I've picked it up. I'm walking with it.
It must be said, it is quite hefty, and it is a proper, like, as you have said, he is a big boy, and his arm is similar. So you are carrying it, but it is taking a fair bit of effort to do so.
Is it like a staff for Dalifar?
A very thick one, yeah.
All I'm hearing is that Dalifar is able to lift it, so...
So, as Dalifar and Oriana walk off into the depths of the high forest, the rest of you, what are you doing?
I'm going to help tie up everyone.
Okay. After their commander's order, the Dragonborn don't put up much of a fight. They simply kneel and place their hands behind their back.
What happened to the one in the fire?
He looks very burnt and quite badly hurt, but he too tentatively kneels down and just places his hands, seeing everyone else doing so.
I'm still in wolf form, correct?
You are a giant wolf off to one side.
So I'm just going to sit down on my haunches and just yawn really widely.
A number of the villagers look in your direction over the remnants of their town and the now decimated campsite. And you see a couple of kids go, wow! And a couple of the parents go, no, don't, as this giant...
I'll take the path near Zini and sort of say, fancy a stroll? There are some others we need to round up. I'll take that as a yes. And I start...
And the tail starts wagging and just brushing ash and leaves everywhere.
Ooh,
as this giant wolf joins you.
What I would like to do is offer up the arm so Zini can carry it in her fangs.
Zini looks a little bit repulsed and doesn't take the arm.
And you don't take it, you say?
No.
Dafa goes, come on, it'll be quicker this way.
Just cocks the head to the side.
Zini.
Smacks him with the tail and then walks off.
Make contesting strength saves for me, please.
A save?
Not a save, just a strength check.
I mean, Dalafar's very strong, so I feel this is a little bit stacked against me. Okay. 20. Dirty.
20.
I just hit the tail against him and it just stops.
It's like a rock and a hard place. As Oriana, you just watch as this giant tail just... and both Dalifar and Zini just kind of look at each other and then continue walking.
Yeah. We're going to take the path where we saw footprints as in the patrol circle, right? And going against it instead of towards it, otherwise we'll just be looking like looping. So we're just going to go the other way.
Okay, as soon as I see that path, can I try and track the scent?
Yeah, if you can make a survival check at advantage.
Excellent. Oh, 17 again. 17 again. I rolled 3 17s in a row.
Zac Efron, he's bringing.
You magnificent person.
Oh, I love you so much, Jess. This is amazing.
Okay. That's, dirty 20.
Dirty 20. So, hearing the sound of High School Musical floating through the air.
Different film.
You walk through the forest, followed by your tiefling and dwarven companion, as both of you walk either side of this giant wolf that, even with how tall the trees are, occasionally brushes against the various boughs.
Oh, and life doesn't last. Life will probably wear off probably about now. It doesn't.
As would haste.
It lasts long in battle, but because of the 6 second rule.
As
But
would
in real
haste.
life, it's nothing.
So there's probably a moment where Zini stops dead for a moment as well because of the lethargy, and then just starts going again, but slower.
So you're now able to keep pace with this giant wolf that is slowly shrinking down over the course of this stroll. But Zini, as you're walking along, you're able to pick up the smell of Dragonborn, the smell of armor. But you also catch another scent on the wind. It seems to be coming from the same direction as these other Dragonborn smells. And as you follow the scent, Dalfar, you two start to notice tracks in the ground. And coming round through the undergrowth, round the side of a large outcropping of rock, you find around 8 Dragonborn, all tied up next to one another, all unconscious. And there is another Dragonborn that stands next to them and simply looks up at all 3 of you. I was wondering when you'd arrive.
Do we recognize who that person is? Have we met him before?
You've not, no?
Hi.
And who are you?
I should think the answer to that would be simple. You called me. As he pulls back his hood, slowly starts to shrink in size, until eventually this large red dragonborn. No, it's not Roland, Catherine.
He sounds like it.
I've got a finite range.
Don't criticize Ed's voice acting.
But as this large red dragonborn slowly starts to shrink down into this lithe, tall, white figure, non-distinct white features, skin like porcelain, and dark black eyes and long white hair, as mist stands before you.
Well, you took your time.
Well, it's not quite as simple as just appearing.
No, I bet not. Are there any more out here?
This is all of them. All I could round up this morning.
Thank you.
Any time. Did all go well in camp?
It did. As Dalfar hefts the arm.
Good.
I bite it at this point.
Dalfar, you just lift off the ground a little bit as this wolf just tears away the arm, but eventually just the hand flopping inside of Zini's mouth. Mist just turns at this odd sight and back to you. Well, I imagine we have much to talk about.
We do. But first, we should get all of these back into the village.
Of course. I'll make a start. I might need a few more extra hands.
Dalfar just rolls up his sleeves.
Lovely. So back at camp, Terra and Scarlet, you watch as the Dragonborn commander again willingly offers his arm out, looking very, very, very badly hurt. You see that he's wheezing with each breath. And you see that a number of the villagers and the rangers are walking amongst, gathering up weapons and looking in the various tents and coming out with personal items and going to their various homes as well, a number of which have been burnt to the ground, as they root around through the remains looking for personal items, for keepsakes. You see a couple of children crying as they realise their toys have gone up in smoke. And you see a number of the leather-armoured individuals starting to move out to the perimeters, now armed with bows, taking a look at what lies around. And Scarlet, as you stand there looking, as both Rudigans are beside you, little red panda on top of large rhinoceros, you see that off in one corner, Ishid, Zini's mentor, is having his bonds cut by the tall elf figure. And as he looks around, he looks over at you and just gives a nod of appreciation in your direction, Scarlet.
I nod back and give Rhino Rudigan a thankful pat for being my shield in the latter part, my Rhino shield in the latter part of battle.
He brings his horned face round to you and just gives you a little gentle nudge. And you can see at this point, from behind you, there is a... And you turn and you can see that Memphis is coming down the hill with various mounts in tow. And you see Epona, her terrifying steam-like feet melting the snow around her. And you see Juliet running ahead of them, rushing towards you, Scarlet, and all but jumping up into your arms. And she doesn't have to jump terribly far now. She is growing.
Big girl.
She's a big boy.
She's chunky.
Big boy girl. Big boy. Yeah, I give her appropriate love and attention to all of her tentacles. Can't leave one out, otherwise she will get very jealous. And after I've done that, I think, do I go speak to Terra or do I go speak to Ashid about the whole thing?
Context, I'm sitting on a crate as like across the other side of the fire from Big Boy, just like leaning on my elbows and just like watching.
I think I'll walk over to Terra then, because that's quite
It's quite
with
a
another
pastime.
nod to Ashid. He can join if he wants. Yeah.
So Terra, as you're sat there leaning, Scarlet comes and joins you.
I just like continue to narrow my eyes at this baddie.
This bad big boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say that was fairly successful, Tara.
Seems like it, yes.
How's Big Boy looking? Still pretty shitty?
Still pretty bad. And by this stage, having realised that they can't tie his arms together, they have tied his legs instead. And he just sits there, still towering above a great many people who are walking amongst the village, but he is still, and he is keeping silent.
Do you think he'll talk when the others get back?
Depends on what this whole commotion was supposed to achieve, I suppose.
What did he say earlier? Something about the girl. None of you matter to me, he said.
Did I hear that? I've forgotten. It was
Yeah,
too long
he
ago.
shouted it at quite some volume over their village just before you all infiltrated.
Yeah, he's got those big vocal cords, so. Yeah. And I suppose we can assume that Zini potentially might be the girl.
As you're talking, a small figure comes up to you, curly brown hair and big sideburns. Ishid steps forward. I take it you're not alone.
If you mean are our friends here, then yes, but they've just gone. I don't know. I haven't seen them for a bit.
And Zini?
I don't know that Zini turned into a wolf. I've just realised that. So as far as I know, there's just been a big wolf around.
With markings similar to Zini's scales, but not.
Yeah, and no one was, no one on our side was concerned.
Yeah, we were like going.
I did point and exclaim to Zini to step back during the fight.
Yeah. I think at this moment I just go, oh. Yeah, Zini's fine. I think Zini's fine. I don't know.
Well, he looks towards the big boy off in the corner. We'll see what he wants. And then we'll see whether she's all right.
You have no idea then? You don't know who this gentleman might be?
He's been questioning us for days. One after the other, repeatedly.
About what?
About where Zini's been.
Right.
And the location of her mother.
And did you know the answers?
The latter, no. As for Zini, but I love that girl like she's my daughter. I'd die before I give her up. Obviously, don't tell her that. She'll never let me hear the end of it, but I didn't breathe a word.
And anyone else?
No, none of us. You don't betray family.
Indeed.
So I suppose she roped you all into this then?
Willingly.
Well, that's twice our village owes you now. Thank you. Really, I do mean that.
Scarlet looks around awkwardly at the remains of the bed. Ooh.
As you look around, taking in the remnants of the village, he turns back to you and just almost conspiratorially says, "Look, I know Zini. I know she was probably pissed at me when I sent her away, but has she been all right?"
Do you mean has she been safe and healthy, or has she been well behaved?
I mean, just the first, but if you have any stories about her misbehaving, then absolutely tell me.
I shall never tell. She's been fine. She's been fine, just acclimatizing. I think it's been maybe a bit difficult, but I think she's doing pretty good.
And at this point, you all look over and see 4 figures walking towards you, followed by a string of others, their hands all tied up. You see Dalafar, giant wolf form of Zini, with a silverish hand in her mouth. You see Oriana nonchalantly walking beside, and you see a strange white figure with long white hair moving with them. And they walk into camp. So, let's get the rest of them tied up. Find out what he knows.
Okay, I'll stand up and cast one more suspicious glance at Big Boy, and then help.
Okay. So, what's everyone doing?
I think I turn to Mist and say, I've got to find out why this was all happening first, and then we can have a talk.
We will talk. In the meantime, I'll wait by the side. I think
Thank you.
a lot of these people probably have other things to be doing than catering for a stranger.
They're good people. If you need something to eat or rest, you need only ask.
I will ask in time. Ask your questions. And with that, they walk away. and sit by the side of the village on one of the crates and just observe.
I head over to Big Boy.
Is anyone following suit?
I'm going to watch from afar, but like close enough to hear.
I'm probably still in the general area, looking at my fingernails.
He said I'm probably still at the gym. I was like, what?
Yeah.
No, the gyms are closed.
Yeah, Scarlett's driving force and just get massive gains.
X-Go, give it to you.
One of my favorite episodes. Just imagining Scarlett and I just pumping iron while waiting for protein shake in one hand, bells in the other.
Yeah.
So I head over to Big Boy, and is he sat down, did you say?
He is, yeah, sat down, unable to move.
Okay.
Hope his name fits well with Big Boy because, we can't change it now.
Yes. So I take a look to see if he's gonna bleed out or anything. So because there's questions I need to ask.
He doesn't look like he's going to bleed out, but he is sort of on the edge of consciousness.
I sort of turn to Oriana and just say he won't stay awake for very long in his current state. Would you mind? You can hit him after if it makes you feel better.
I grunt and go over, and I'll use lay on hands, but I'm only going to what is it? I need to remind myself. I'm not going to heal in loads. How much can I heal him by in order for him to just maintain consciousness?
Not much. I'd say it's mostly fluff. So
yeah. I'll heal him by I'll do 8 points. That's just
8? Okay.
Yeah.
So as Ori walks over, placing her hands on this much larger form, you watch as purple energy just emanates from around her hand before she just as quickly steps back. And there is a rattly as he breathes in and looks at all of you with his one good eye.
Can I have stayed back out of his eye line a little bit?
Yeah.
But close enough that I can hear?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Well, the day is yours.
Well, unluckily for you, you came across us. Or rather, should I say, you attacked people we care about. So, I don't need to threaten you, because you know what will happen otherwise. But I will ask you questions. For every question that I feel you're lying to me, won't go so well in your favor.
Are you a military man, dwarf?
And if I was?
You carry it well if you are. And if you are not, you are a natural.
What did you want with the girl?
What do you know of the girl?
Enough that we came to her village to stop you.
I came to find another, and I believe she is the key.
Who is this other, and what key?
I am seeking vengeance for a people, an entire civilization. You cannot possibly know or understand the lengths I would go to carry out my new purpose.
Dalfa just turns around and gestures to the village. I know you burn down homes with women and children.
A small price to pay. We were looking for the girl's mother.
Who is the girl's mother?
A fugitive.
Names.
Tirazana is her name.
Why do you think she's the key?
What do you know of Nivesmire?
I want to know what you know.
We were a great dragonborn civilization. A city where all were welcome. Where dragonborn could live peacefully together. No matter chromatic or metallic. Regardless of religion or creed. It was the great experiment. And so naturally, it failed. We were wiped out. Almost in a night.
How?
A plague. A plague that afflicted us. People rioted. They were scared. Buildings burned down. It was calamity itself. I too was afflicted. As you can see.
He gestures to the left side of his face before bringing his one good hand down to the jade pendant that hangs around his neck. It is in the shape of a dragon's head.
I survived only by virtue of this.
What is it?
It protects from disease and illness. I was one of the lucky ones, if you can believe it.
Where did you get the pendant?
Magic users within the city. We were a repository of knowledge and of power. We were a utopia. Before it all came crashing down. I need to find out why.
And what connection does Zini's mother have to this?
There was another clan. They lay in opposition to our beautiful city. We believed in unity, unification, and they did not. We believed in individualism. This opposition lasted for centuries. Blood was spilt until eventually the two were unified in marriage.
Whose marriage?
That girl's parents. And then on the night that we fell, the mother disappeared with her daughter. is no coincidence.
That is your proof?
She will give me her proof. Either way, I will be revenged for my sisters and my brothers and my friends and the children that died that night. The girl will be my compass to the source of this calamity.
That's quite a theory.
You mock me, dwarf, for all that I have lost.
No. I mock you because you inflict the same pain that you have so dearly lost, and you do not see it.
If you have the girl, give her to me. And if you do not, end it now.
I drop my form, walk over to him and say, I am not his to give.
I should have known. It has been a long time. You do not recognize me. Your father was like a brother to me, Sirixini. Help me. Please. Where is your mother?
You are beyond help. I don't know.
Then I am but a shadow of what came before. And I could offer no salvation for those that still live. You have humbled me, all of you. Do what you must.
I
I
have a
am
question.
tired and spent.
The Knights of the Birch. Are they your allies?
No. We have avoided them as we have traveled through the high forest. They are weak.
They didn't seem very weak when they caught Memphis in Daggerford.
I don't know who that is.
I'm not talking to you.
Well, the decision of what happens to you is not up to me. And I walk away to join Memphis.
You have grown so much, Sirixini. I wish your father could have seen the woman you grow into.
Evoke him.
you say?
Not speak of my father.
I respect your wish. Because I respect him. You will find no such loyalty from her.
Your name.
Commander. Commander Morderon. Draldak.
Well, Morderon. If it's death you seek, I will not give it to you.
I will not stop hunting her. Just because you do not know where she lies.
Then I wish you luck. She's far more capable than I am.
On that, we are agreed.
Just an idea. Try not burning down a village next time. That's not the best way to draw her attention.
He simply leans back against the remnants of his tent and looks you up and down with his one good eye and falls silent as he sits there.
I stare at him for a moment and then just turn around and start walking away.
There is silence over the village as the wind rustles through the trees. Snow peaks and troughs around. And all the villagers seem to be looking at this exchange, all stood silent and quiet. And Zini, as you walk back towards your friends, you see Ashid and Quill.
No, sorry, I'm not walking that way. I'm just walking kind of out of the village.
Okay. So, as you walk out, the rest of you watch Zini slowly walking away. What are you all doing?
What was the elf lady's name?
Hestia.
Hestia. Is she stood next to Ashid?
Yeah, you notice that a lot of the rangers have started to gather towards Ashid and Quill, who are stood near the center of the town.
I turn to Ashid and Hestia and say, well, we can't just leave them out here in the cold, tied up. We're not barbarians. So, is there enough room in that building where you were being held for all of them?
Well, it's hardly a tavern now. Memphis? And Memphis turns. I have to go find Patch, but by all means, use it for what you will.
Thank you. I suggest we take their armor off them and keep them bound, but put them in those cages until you decide what you want to do with them.
We'll do that.
I'll help.
I think Zini might be in need of a family. Round about now. Go on.
Understood. And I walk off.
So Ashid turns around to the villagers and the rangers and starts to direct them to move the Dragonborn soldiers across. And it takes a number for each Dragonborn. They are quite large, muscular figures, especially so with Morderon. But they are slowly filed off towards the Fallen Leaf, which looks never more dilapidated and sad as a building.
Before I go away from Hestia, I sort of pull her aside and say, point towards Mist, and say, "He's with us. Treat him as you would us."
Very well. Thank you for all you've done. I am Hestia.
Dalifar.
And if you stay, I imagine we'll meet the other rangers in due course, but you've done us a great service today.
We did it for a friend.
I'm sure she appreciates it. Now go. We'll settle up here. Come on, Ashid. And you see Quill look between the two of them and at you, Dalifar, as well, and then turns towards the rest of you and just gives a nod and mouths, "Thank you." And they move off as well.
I think I turn to who stood with us. Which one of you?
Sort of all of you are stood together with the exception of Zini, who is
I'm saying
walking.
like great.
I'm gonna go after Zini. You're welcome to join if you want to stay here, but I think she might need a little company.
Assuming that Dalifar heads off in that direction, I wait until he passes and then I stand and join.
Mm-hmm. Scarlet and Oriana?
I look at Scarlet and shrug.
Yeah. It's a good, strong look. I sort of get up and pat myself down and go, well, I suppose someone should tell Zini to be a bag or something next time.
So all four of you follow as Zini walks off.
Yeah, and both Rudigans are following
Yeah.
me as well.
And even over the sound of the heavier Rudigan's footprints, you start to hear the sounds of 4 pairs of feet following you.
I ignore them and try and search for a particular thing that I'm going to message you rather than say.
Okay, sure thing.
So bear with me.
So Zini continues walking ahead of all of you, seemingly lost in her own thoughts. And I'll just see what Michael has sent to me. Okay, so make a survival check for me, Michael.
Okay. That would be 25.
So, as Zini continues walking ahead, you notice that she is looking down at the ground and occasionally kneels down and picks through a couple of things, turning over leaves and twigs and brushing snow apart, until eventually appears to find something. It's very small, looks like a white seed of sorts, but she picks it up in her black taloned hand. Are you doing anything in particular with it, Zini?
No, I just cup it in my hand and then sit down against a tree trunk and have Rudigan kind of sit nearby. Rudigan 2.
Which one's that one again? The rhino?
Rhino, yeah. With one on top of him, just resting.
So everyone comes to a stop as Zini just sits down against a tree. The three of you form a kind of semicircle around her.
You found what you're looking for?
I don't want to talk about it.
Okay.
Do you want us to go back?
I don't know.
I'm just going to sit down, like, around the other side of, not the opposite side of the tree, the adjacent, around the corner of the tree.
Find a stone or a boulder or something to sit on, and just sort of start looking at a place where one of the Dragonborn took off a bit of a beard.
Scarlet will look for a clean-ish place to sit down.
You're able to find a small rock and kind of brush a little bit of snow aside, and while it will certainly be damp to sit upon, it's better than nothing. Oriana, are you doing anything?
No, I will just continue standing. I don't need to sit.
So you all sit. You sit or stand in silence as the early hours of the morning slowly give way to day. And despite how deep into winter it is, there is a reassuringly warm glow of sunlight coming through the boughs above, illuminating the white, if somewhat muddied snow down below. And looking off in the direction of Waldhaven, you see that a number of the various tents are being broken down and thrown on the bonfire in the centre of the village. And you see that people are talking, and every so often, hanging on the wind. Laughter. It's a strange alien sound after the last few days, but people are laughing. And Zini, as you watch on, you take one sort of positive from all of this. Everyone is accounted for. No one is missing. Everyone lived. Today, everyone lived. And time passes. And eventually it is a few hours later. Oriana, your feet are beginning to hurt a little, but you stick with it. Is anyone doing anything?
I mean, I didn't want to ruin that beautiful moment, but technically, like, some Dragonborn guy.
Yeah, true.
We did murder them.
None of the villagers.
None of the villagers died.
Yeah.
Few Dragonborn.
I knew what you meant. I just thought that was funny. Yeah.
1989. No one died.
Yeah.
Dalafar is going to stand and just go, I'll be in the village if you need me. I need to have a conversation with my friend.
So Dalafar heads off into Waldhaven. As you do so, Dalafar, you walk past a number of individuals, and you see Patrick, the smithy, who gifted you blacksmith's tools, and he just waves in your direction, the sun gleaming off his bald head, as he continues on, breaking down the various bits and pieces around the camp. And you can see, as you walk through the crowd that bustle around you, over on the other side of the clearing, sitting on a crate, legs crossed, is Mist, who looks up at you with their jet black eyes and just nods. How's your friend?
She's holding up well as I can tell. But that doesn't stop me worrying about her.
Of course. So you called me.
You said if I ever need your help. I wanted your assistance with something other than this, although I do appreciate what you've done.
Of course.
You know who I'm looking for.
I do.
And one of those connections, Ikreth, is going back to Waterdeep. I plan to confront him there, but I need to know as much as I can before I do.
When are you heading off?
I think maybe in the next day or two.
I can see what I can do. You've seen his manner before, haven't you?
Have I seen his manner before?
You did, yes. You trailed him from it.
Oh, yes, I did. I didn't go
way
inside.
back in Waterdeep.
I didn't go back. I didn't go inside. Yes.
No.
Only from the outside.
Well, I can find out defenses for you.
Numbers and defenses would be good.
Numbers and defenses.
Yeah, I'll deal with Ikreth once in there.
Will you need help once you're in there?
If that is an option, I'll take it gladly.
Of course. Well, I'd best get a head start then.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again.
I offer my hand.
They take it. Just clasp it. Sheol sends his regards, by the way.
If I make it through this, I'll go and see him.
Good.
Is he all right?
As far as I can tell, trade is still good, thankfully. Even in winter. Be seeing you soon, Dalifar.
Thank you again.
And with that, they put their hood up and start to walk off into the wintry forest before disappearing amidst the trees. The rest of you sat around the tree, and little red panda Rudigan jumps off his larger compatriot and walks over to you, Zini, and just rubs his little bushy head against your chest with it.
I just take him on my shoulders and scratch his fur absent-mindedly.
Seeing this, Juliet hops off Scarlet's lap, walks over to you, and almost beat for beat, pushes her head up against your chest and gives a and looks at your shoulders.
They're occupied.
Starts to just paw gently at your armor.
You're very heavy. I just take her and sort of seat her across the chest.
There is a distinct bloop as this little cat just weighs down your legs. It's quite heavy, and you can feel the blood slowly leaving your legs as this cat just... And rather strangely, the two tentacles on her back just wrap around your legs and squeeze a little bit. And once again, this tightening just leaves you feeling a little bit numb. But there's something quite reassuring about the thrum of her purr on your stomach.
Scarlet, what have you been feeding her?
Oh. The same things I've been feeding you, my dear Zini.
Oh. Are you sure that displacer beasts are supposed to be fed the same thing as humanoids?
I mean, she enjoys it, so...
Juliet looks up and gives an affirming and just settles back in. You feel the claws a little bit as she just makes herself comfortable. It hurts quite a bit.
Even through my armor?
Even through your armor. Tiny displacer beasts are still displacer beasts. So, the day continues to wear on. And eventually the camp in the center of the village is all but destroyed and taken apart. And you see that people are sitting on the crates around. And around the campfire, they seem to be passing food, drink. And every so often, Zini, from where you sit, you can see a number of faces glance off in the direction of you all, up on the hill. And Memphis, comes from behind you, carrying Patch in his arms. You all right? I'll take that as a resounding yes. There's food and drink down in the village. If you need it, or if you want it. You've earned it. And he walks off, both Patch and his tails swinging in tandem as he walks down the hill towards Waldhaven.
Do we feel like some embedment?
I'm down in the village, so I'm not.
What?
I will look at all three of them, barring Danafar, because he's gone, until they give me an answer.
I'm just looking at Zini.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because that's
Your brand.
that's my brand. Although I will also be kind of looking at Zini and just waiting.
Really just going to stare until I talk about it.
You don't have to talk about that. You can talk about large carnivorous animals that you might like to think of the next time you transform. I've heard good things about bears, for example, or lynxes.
Do I know why? Like, I assume I know why Scarlet is bothered by this because of the previous experience. I don't think I'd need to roll an insight check for this.
No insight check needed.
Yeah.
Scarlet is many things, but subtle, and not one of them.
I didn't know whether that would work, and it was my first time doing it, kind of. So I just went for a shape that I kind of understand, and would be scary and fast. And I suppose what I'm trying to say is I'm sorry.
You did wonderful, Zini, and I'm certain that your choice had its own merits. Just in the future, it would be preferable if you could think of another form that I'm sure could be just as inefficient and have all of the benefits without any of the drawbacks.
I didn't think she could do this to me again. She interferes, you know?
Your mother?
Yeah. It's been a long time since I saw her.
How long?
Oof. Well, it depends. I've seen her more recently, but not to talk to. I was hiding, you see.
Think she knew you were there.
No. I'm almost as good at hiding as you, Terra, after all. Yeah, 2 years, maybe?
I'm sure that we all have complicated relationships with our families. So we aren't going to, judge you if you do want to talk about it.
Thank you. That's not... It's not what I'm afraid of, though. I don't know what I'm afraid of, really. What he said was true. There was a plague, I think. I don't really remember much. It's I was a lot younger, and it all happened quite quickly.
How old were you?
I was 9. But I don't remember much. I don't like remembering much.
But you remember your mother?
Yeah. She's not a difficult woman to remember.
Do you remember your father?
Bits. Not a lot these days. He, I think he died. I don't know. I ran fast and far. We hid amongst others of our kind. She
reach out and just take Zini's hand.
Dragonborn are part of a clan. We all have our clan name first. Mine was Icarus. And then we have a nickname that were given by those who are close to us, and mine is Griptail. Tails aren't that common amongst Dragonborn, but my mother had one, and I as I say, she hid us well.
Why were you hiding?
I don't know. Presumably because people like this Morderon were after her or us, or she never told me.
So you don't know what they were after?
No.
And when you went into hiding, your father was already gone?
I think so. I don't remember much. And it just the pain blurs it. Makes it hard to look at.
I get that. It's okay to feel like that.
I know.
Well, what do you want?
I don't know. We saved them, but it's my fault that they were in danger in the first place. And I don't know whether they intend to rebuild, or if the knights will attack them again, or if Mordorin will when he gets his strength back.
Seems to me like maybe they've learnt that no one here can provide the answers that they want.
Maybe. And if the knights are weakened because of Scarlet burning down the fort, then maybe the other rangers can finally push them out. I mean, they're all a bit useless. They all got caught by these idiots. Thank you for your help.
It's not help, it's just doing.
Well, I think I need to talk to the other rangers and see what they're thinking, and obviously we've still got Icarus to track down.
Do you want some food?
Yeah, being a wolf makes you really hungry. Like, really hungry. And that guy, he didn't taste very nice.
No, reptiles often don't.
Thanks.
It wasn't a personal statement to me.
I am a reptile.
I'd be glad that she doesn't want to cook you.
Yes, I would never try and eat you, Zini.
I'm sorry that I was insensitive, but there's no need to be insensitive in return.
As you're having this conversation, you see Dalifar making his way back up the hill towards you all.
Don't maybe tell Dalifar about the whole tail mother running thing just for now.
Okay.
And I stand up, but try and keep hold of Terra's hand as I do.
Mm-hmm.
In an awkward way, or
no, just like in a sort of bringing you up with me kind of way.
Yeah.
So Dalifar, as you come over the peak of the hill, you see the other four sitting there, accompanied by the menagerie of animals around them.
We're just gonna go get some food.
Yeah, you didn't need to come all the way back. We were on our way to you. I mean, it's just a waste of your time, really.
Dalfa chuckles. All right, then, food it is. He turns around and starts walking back.
As we're walking back, I'll just hang back with Zini a bit, like still walking, but just further back.
Mm-hmm.
My father, I think, is dead as well. I don't know if it helps to know someone that has also had that, but I'm just saying.
Pain in the world doesn't make it better, but somebody who understands does.
I don't think I can understand exactly because it's different.
Yeah.
But hopefully just enough.
It's enough. Can we walk over and seek out Ishid?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you come back to the sort of impromptu new camp that has been made up within the village limits, you see that as all 5 of you enter, everyone turns and there is this uproarious cheer as everyone just starts clapping as you all enter. And Hestia stands and walks over to you specifically, Zini, and just grabs your hand and say, I am furious, absolutely furious that you chose to disobey Ishid's orders. Am I be understood? And
Yeah, I
have never been more glad to see you. Come here! And she just grabs you and pulls you into a big hug.
You are too strong.
That I am. Are you okay?
Yeah, I will be if you let go of me.
Yes, of course. Come on, everyone's so glad to see you. Come and sit down. Haven't seen you in such a long time, Zini.
I need to do something first.
Yes, of course.
And I walk over to Ishid.
As Zini walks off...
And I cuff the back of his head as I walk past him.
What the...
And then is there like a central area of this? Obviously, is there a fire pit?
There's the campfire that was left by the Dragonborn.
So is the fire lit or is it
is,
out
yes.
now?
Very much roaring.
So is there another sort of central space that is like somewhere that I can kind of stand centrally that's not too close to the fire, or is everybody gathered around the fire?
There are a couple of benches stood around that you could easily sort of use as a soapbox of sorts.
I'm not really thinking that. I'm more thinking just an open space.
Oh yeah, there are a couple of sort of areas sort of near the fire, but most of it is taken up by people who are sat around. But every here and there is sort of a bit of a circle, I guess.
Okay. So can I just bend down and dig a little hollow in the earth with my claw?
Mm-hmm.
And then I will cast Druidcraft on the seed that I found and just place it in the earth.
Okay.
And then cover it back up.
So as Zini walks over and cuffs her mentor around the head, Hestia turns to you all and just says, please help yourself. There's not as much food as we would like, but the hunt begins anew tomorrow. Come. And as plates are passed out between you, and Scarlet, it's not the best food, but you, nevertheless, it's all right. It'll
Fine.
do.
Yeah.
But as you all take plates and are shown in the direction of where various people can serve, you see off just a little way from the fire, a little sapling begin to come out of the ground. And like a time lapse, this tree slowly begins to bloom, stretching up high above any of the surrounding buildings. In the center of this clearing, a large birch tree begins to grow, a silver birch. And its branches spread out, and branches give way to twigs, which give way to leaves, and it stretches out over you all. And there's a silence as everyone sits back and looks up at this bough that now stands at the center of the village.
Can I just whisper to the tree, speaking hopefully to the Ash Talon, and say, you can watch again now?
There is a breeze. You know the reply.
Right. Ishid, why did you let this happen?
Well, it's not quite that simple, but
Oh, please enlighten me about how complicated it is that you
look,
got
I
caught.
think all that is left to say is thank you, you 5, all of you.
And the Rudigans.
And the Rudigans, and Quill. It's good to see you again. Quill gives a little bow and sips at their drink. I was only helping Ishid. And Ishid blushes a little bit and Tomorrow we will rebuild. But tonight is for drinking. It is for eating. It's for being thankful for one another. I could not be more thankful for all of you. You are family. All of you. And he turns and he raises a tankard in the direction of the other four and just nods. Let us drink. And everyone...
Can I try and snatch it off him before he drinks and nick it?
Yeah, sure. Make opposing dexterity checks.
Probably not. 9.
Also a 9.
What is happening?
Your hands collide in the middle, and rather than either one of you taking it, it simply falls to the ground. And Ashid stands and looks up at you. And just grabs you, and you can hear her as Lucy flies in the sky above. And the evening continues. Food is brought out. Drink is readily imbibed. And slowly it grows dark. And the shadows grow long as the fire continues to rage in the center of the village. And there is dancing. There is music from what few instruments have been brought out. And you're all sat around this fire, in amidst the remnants of this small, but still very secure village. And people are getting up and they're dancing, and the children are slowly falling asleep. Is there anything anyone is doing while the village celebrates?
I just seek out each of the rangers and just chat with them a while.
Uniformly, they're all very glad to see you. Mione and Care sort of traditionally gruff and monosyllabic, nevertheless gives you a firm hug and just, it's good to see you. Glad you're back. And Mione hits him and gives you a proper hug, and Tuck as well, still young and as youthful as ever, is thrilled to have you back in the village, mainly on account that now they can no longer make jokes about him being the only youngster in the Rangers. Hestia takes some of your time and asks where you have been, and Arnadi and Hassa once again sat together, holding one another and stroking one another's hair. They beckon you over, and the Rangers also make their way around the rest of you as well, asking where you're from, where you have travelled from, what you have done with Zini, what you have shown her of this world. And Quill eventually comes over to you, Zini, and sits beside you. So, how was your conversation?
Weird.
But enlightening?
Yeah.
Good.
Well, more questions.
There always are. We must try not to find answers in this world, not all of them at least. Life is mystery. Life is the unknowable stars that hang above us and the endless black of the night sky. The joy is in finding the questions.
You're infuriating.
I know, my dear, I know. But you love me.
Of course I do.
That is also life. Greatest question of all, why do we love? We don't know. But it does not matter. What matters is that we feel it. Would you agree?
I nod and then slip her necklace off and offer it to her.
Keep it.
To them, sorry.
Keep it. Symbol of the branching queen, symbol of Phalaurith, it is yours.
Thank you, Queen.
May she travel with you as she has traveled with me. Speaking of love, your dwarf friend.
You interested?
Oh, no. I have my eye on someone similarly short in stature, but whether he plucks up the courage to talk to me or not is another matter. But
I think you might need to talk to him.
probably.
He'll be very pleased.
Your dwarf friend is very much in love. I think he aches with it.
For who?
Whoever placed that bracelet around his wrist. Treat him kindly.
Well,
Those who are missing love often seek it from those around them.
I mean, I'll treat him okay. He's quite annoying.
Well, he's not alone in that, little one.
All right. There was no need for that. I mean, I left myself open to it, but there was no need for it.
You found quite a family.
I'm not sure I'm the one who found them.
Let us call it fate. Where do you go now?
Back to Waterdeep, I think.
Well, keep me abreast. The plants are listening.
Gossips.
Always. Does the rest of you sit? Patrick has come to you, Dalafar, and is asking, so, how are the tools treating you? All okay?
Haven't really had much of a chance to use them. Running around and, making sure Zindy doesn't get into any trouble. The usual.
It's a constant job, I'm not surprised. Look, if you want to swing by what remains of the anvil tomorrow and work on any bits and pieces, I'd be pleased to have you. Be nice to have it up and running again.
Sure thing.
And Scarlet, you find that Patch has attached himself to you somewhat as he sits playing with Juliet on your lap and just sort of playing with and sort of looking up at you occasionally going, so how old is she?
How old is Juliet? She can't be that old, surely.
Make it, I mean, if you want to know for sure, maybe make a nature check.
Yeah, let's do a nature check. This sounds like a fun... Oh, hold on. I need to get my... I accidentally closed my D&D Beyond tab.
Anywhere between 4 months and 84 years old.
I mean, she's like a displacer beast. It's not like she's an actual cat. So, right, nature. Oh, 18.
Judging from her current size, she's probably around 4 months old. Which means she's going to get a lot bigger.
It's fine, I knew that anyway. People go, oh, only 4 months or so. She's a growing girl.
Wow, she's so big. Can I play with her for a bit?
If Juliet lets you play with her, you can go ahead. She's perfectly capable of letting people know her own boundaries.
Juliet sort of, it's quite sinister, but wraps the tentacles around Patch with a soft and Patch takes this as an enthusiastic yes and just tries to pick up Julia and just ends up dragging her 4 hind legs across the ground as he's just carrying her off to somewhere where they can play with twigs and leaves.
Seems safe to Scarlet. She does not give it a second look. She doesn't really understand children. They exist.
And Terra, as you sit there, you see Oriana sat stoic and alone, although sort of off to one side you see a number of kids sort of all gathered and looking over at Oriana and kind of pointing and whispering amongst themselves and going, "She's so cool, look at her horns." And they're just looking her up and down. But you also see something else. Off in the trees, you see a white raven sat in the branches, looking down at the campsite.
Well, first of all, I go and whisper to the children and say, "She's very, very nice. I think she'd love to chat to you." And then I go into the woods.
Do I hear this?
I'm not trying to be heard.
Make a perception check for me.
Can I do a
Yeah,
stealth
and a contested stealth check, I'd say.
Oh dear. Okay.
16?
14.
You see Terra sort of arrive at the children, and sort of you see her mouth move a bit before she walks off. But as one, all of the children just look and start walking forward towards you, and they just go, "Can I play with your hair? Can I see your sword? Can I see your mane? Oh, it's a mole!" And they're just sort of all crowding around you. And as you look around, you see Ashid just cheers you from across the campfire as he chuckles to himself. And all of you watch as Oriana is swarmed by all of these children. Terra, as you walk off into the woods, the white raven jumps off its perch and starts to fly a little deeper. And with the sound of music still behind you and the orangey glow of the fire emanating through the trees, you're walking for a little longer, until eventually you see a figure. Hooded and cloaked, in bright armor, hidden from the sun's beams by the cloak that hangs over them, and a bow hangs on their back. It is the figure you first met in Baldur's Gate. And as she pulls down her hood, you see long hair tied behind, a pale, pale face with elven ears pointing up. Hello again.
Good evening. Have you come to join the party?
I have not. Your benefactor received your letter. I have to say, considering I did not even know of your existence up until a month ago, I am impressed. Even if the other council do not know of your existence, I can see why our benefactor is pleased with your work.
I'm flattered.
Unfortunately, you understand why the rest of the council cannot know of you.
Sure.
Good. I have another mission for you. It is twofold. Neverwinter. You told us Ostafar was headed there, yes?
That's right.
I believe there are, in that case, 3 more of the First Church. Ostafar, Lady Esther Stormlock, and this Lord Porteous Brett that you drove from Geshford.
Mm-hmm.
Stormlock is native to Neverwinter. Ostafar only just arrived, but Brett, I believe he is staying there. I want you to find out, with this new information you have given us, exactly what it is the First Church are after.
Okay.
All the palm knows is that one of our agents has been tasked with this.
They do not know who. So I'm trusting you to be discreet.
Do you have any more information where they are?
I know that Ostafar will be staying somewhere called the Beach Leviathan. Stormlock, I do not know. She is a noble in the city. Brecht is staying at a mansion, I believe an acquaintance of his. Harwood House.
And they have a meeting, presumably.
I do not believe so. All I know is that they're all in the same city, which means there are 3 opportunities to extract information.
Okay.
I said this mission was twofold. I understand you're on the way to Waterdeep now.
How did you know that? Did I tell you?
You are... You told us you're pursuing Ikreth Mal. Is that correct?
That's right, yeah.
And you believe this group, the Ivory Silent, is involved with whatever the First Church are doing? This dwarf you were travelling with, Dalafar Oakstone, you've grown close with him?
Yeah, we work well together.
So he's told you what it is he's looking for?
Yes.
I want you to help him find it.
Okay. What benefit does that have for you?
Let us just say the Ivory Silent and our organization have history. They are dangerous. If this Oakstone is traveling to them, he will lead you to their location.
And then?
You will do what you do best. And when this Dalafar Oakstone has his hands on what he seeks, when it is in his possession, I want you to deliver it to us. Can you do that?
Deliver it to you on its own?
Yes.
Right.
Keep us updated. Only your benefactor and I know of your involvement in this. I trust it will stay that way.
I trust the stipends will continue to arrive.
You will continue to be paid.
Then I see no issue.
You're more formidable than I thought. You're doing good work. The work of the guiding hand, Terra. May the hand guide you. And with that, she brings her hood up, and allowing the white raven to fly down onto her arm, she walks off into the woods, leaving you alone. The sound of music and crackling bonfire filling the air. And that is where we will end this week's session. So, thank you all so much for joining. Thank you all so much for joining us in the chat as well, and for joining us for our first full story arc in this brand new season. We will be back next week, but in the meantime, you can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Instagram. Oh God, I almost bent my finger back. You can
You can bend us back. You can follow us. You can follow us on Facebook as well. Subscribe to us on YouTube. And click the bell icon, all that lovely stuff. You can check out our Patreon as well if you'd like to support our campaign. And you can follow us on iTunes, Spotify, and Podbean. Thank you so much. It feels crazy to think this has been 6 episodes, but we've loved having you along for it, and we cannot wait to be back next week. Love you all very much. Stay safe, and we will see you all very, very soon. In the meantime, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.